Ramesh Iyer, MD Mahindra Finance as well, as joins in on the show. Ramesh, hi, morning. Mr. Anand Mahindra in his recent conference said that the full impact of good monsoon has not yet flown into the demand and that he expects further improvement in rural demand as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of look at monsoon across the country and the sowing on time, and therefore the yields are expected to be definitely much better. And more importantly, I also think that the support prices would be good. So therefore the overall cash flow in the rural market is expected to be very buoyant.
So do you see the global slowdown, the doom sense of urban areas to also start reflecting then in the rural mode?
I think if you kind of look at the rural consumption, one has to take a vertical split and say, purchases which are need-based and there are purchases which are aspirational, right? And the need-based purchases would be, the people mover, the goods mover, the tractors. So those kind of vehicles, we don't see that's going to be impacted because they neither boom with an overall economy moving up, nor do they fall as much as the economy may fall. But the aspirational purchases could possibly be impacted if there is going to be some kind of a global impact that we are talking. But again, the sentiments in rural is very, very positive. So I'm not too sure that it's going to have any major impact in terms of their buying pattern and things like that.
Ramesh, there are reports that the NREGA compensation could go up substantially. If that is the case, and if indeed the NREGA compensation goes up substantially, what is your experience? Do you think it will have an impact on credit demand?
Clearly, yes. I mean, if you see the last few rounds where this kind of a program has helped the rural population. But again, this kind of support to the rural population does not really go into any major asset buying. But definitely the overall consumption goes up, and to that extent, the sentiments move up, the cash flows move up and down. So it will have a definite positive impact, but it's not possible to directly correlate the volume of money paid out under such programs to go in for any major asset buying.
Ramesh, inflation also continues to remain high, and if there is expectation that Reserve Bank of India will continue tightening, if that is the case, will that have an impact on your fundraising?
I think we've taken a view already. I mean, if we kind of look at 1 year back, that's sometime last November, December, all of us were talking of the interest rates may come down. But as we saw it over a period, it's only moved up, and we've already taken a view in July, August that the interest rates are not likely to come down. And to that extent, either we have pushed up our rates to the consumers already, or we are negotiating and discussing with various manufacturers and dealers to ask for some kind of a cost subvention that they can support us with. But the view is very clear that the borrowing cost is not expected to substantially come down. And to that extent, therefore, the lending rates may also not come down.
Ramesh, how do you see NIMs shaping in the coming 2 quarters?
I mean, if you see the September ending quarter of ours, there was a very slight improvement of an NIM because we pushed up the rates sometime in July and August. The whole thing got transferred to the consumers sometime in September. I think the benefit of that will flow even in this quarter. And the current borrowing cost has not gone up, but yes, some of the banks like State Bank, etc., announced a base rate increase already. So we do expect that a base rate increase of 25 basis point from most of the banks are likely to happen. And to that extent, sometime in November beginning, we once again pushed up a rate to some extent. But I think protecting a NIMs at this level is not very difficult. But more importantly, if the borrowing cost were to continue to keep going up, it may be unreasonable to keep passing it on to consumer, and which is why I referred to our discussion with dealers and manufacturers to submit the cost.
In the second quarter, Ramesh, we saw disbursements.
Okay, bad link. We've lost that link with Delhi. But for the moment, let me just also mark the Mahindra and Mahindra financial stocks. 2 days ago, it hit a fresh high, went to 310, 315, came cracking down, and now seems to be marching up. So the trajectory for Mahindra and Mahindra financials, even though it's an expensive stock trading at something like 3 times book, which is nearly 40-50% premium to other NBFCs, it deserves to trade at that P multiple simply because of growth. They are able to grow their business at about 25 to 30% plus. Their reach is also spreading across. They are very clear on their business model. They've not tried to venture into the banking license. Mahindra as a group has given the entire bank license opportunity, or the entire banking opportunity a skip, because they don't want to destroy or change the shareholding pattern. 300 rupees for Mahindra and Mahindra Financial. Ramesh, in Q2 we saw your disbursements slowing down. Do you see this changing in coming quarters?
No, but if you kind of look at historically, the second quarter isn't a very big quarter for simple reason that heavy monsoon. So climatically, there are not major activities happening. But then comes the festival, comes the harvest, and we have seen 1 month of October having a kind of decent month across the country because of the festival mood and sentiments. As we just talked about, harvest yields are likely to be good, support price likely to be good. So we would see some decent pickup happening this quarter and the last quarter. But will it be as buoyant as it was 1 year back? I guess the answer is no.
Right, Ramesh, though largely your NPAs have been managed well, and your NPAs are well under control, there was a bit of an uptick both sequentially and again on a year basis. So how do you see your NPAs moving for rest of the year then?
I mean, from whatever I've explained, true for business is actually true for collection as well. If there's a good cash flow in the rural market, one should only expect a better collection. But just as an input for the second quarter, it's not that overall NPA has increased across the country, but definitely commercial vehicle as one segment has not done too very well, and we have a small exposure to that segment. Two, the southern market did not really perform as much as one would have liked them to. And that has also contributed to a little increase in the overdues, resulting into some NPAs. As we speak now, we have seen corrections happening parts of Karnataka, parts of Tamil Nadu, and we would only expect that if the sentiments continue to hold the way they are, one doesn't want to really be over worried about will the NPA start going up. We are hopeful that as we see every year, the second half is a much better half compared to first half, will hold good also for this year.
Ramesh, in the second quarter, you saw a healthy AUM growth driven by cars, tractors, as well as refinancing. What kind of growth estimates have you set out for the second half of the financial year?
I may not want to put a number across, but I think the growth drivers will continue to be coming from cars, will come from second-hand vehicle financing, and will come from the tractor market clearly. And in as far as cars and second-hand vehicle is concerned, I think we are not a very significant player in other than Maruti segment at this stage, and therefore there is a very clear upside. And most of these manufacturers are looking at the rural for their growth very seriously. And I'm pretty sure that we would be one of the good beneficiary of those strategies of all these companies. And therefore, in terms of growth drivers, as I said, we are going slow in heavy commercial vehicle, and that would get more than offset by many more cars, second-hand vehicles, small construction equipments, tractors has done pretty well. And for us, increasing market share in the two prime product, which is the Mahindra Auto division as well as the Maruti segment, will be the overall growth story.
Ramesh, good chatting with you. Really appreciate you taking the time out and speaking with us today. That's the view coming in from Ramesh Iyer from Mahindra Finance. In the meantime, what about the